If a small advancing recon unit of dismounted soldiers were navigating through hostile terrain when suddenly they didn't have a whole lot of armored support, they came under enemy fire. Perhaps a sniper lodged in a mountain ridge, perhaps a drone painting a target for nearby enemy fighters. Well, what do they do if they don't know where that came from? Well, that technology now exists. It's by a Raytheon subsidiary called BBN, Raytheon BBN. And what they make is a system called Boomerang. It's an acoustic sensor. There's a soldier-worn variant called Warrior X. It's a small sensor. And then they also have Boomerang 2, which is a sensor for vehicles. It mounts a series of microphones, what you might say, on top of an armored vehicle, and it detects the incoming sound of where a bullet is coming from. Of course, once you know the point of origin, you can counterattack. A commander has a better sense of how the best method of response might be. Well, there's some interesting science behind this. Raytheon developers explain that when a bullet is traveling at supersonic speeds, it generates an acoustic shock wave. So that acoustic or sound signature sends back vibrations, which these microphones or these sensors are able to receive, then process, then use computing technology to synthesize and allow human decision makers to know where the attacks are coming from. So what if this paradigm were taken and applied more broadly? What about the idea of finding the source of incoming anti-tank missile fire or rocket-propelled grenade fire? That's exactly what Raytheon BBN is trying to work on. They're looking at fusing infrared sensing with acoustic sensing so you can synthesize, merge, and have what might be called a dual trajectory to detect incoming fire. Whether it's the heat signature from a dispensed round of an anti-tank missile, the flame or the explosion that's emerging, or perhaps it's the heat signature of the engine system of a vehicle that's about to fire. Or maybe it's the sound. An RPG also travels quickly and makes a sound. Interestingly, some essays, which are supported by some engineers with Raytheon, explain that a muzzle blast is significant as far as detecting the point of origin of the sound, but not as reliable as something like a shock wave that emerges. It's an acoustic signature that propagates around a bullet as it travels through the air. The concept is to better enable infantry units and ground warriors to know the source of where enemy attacks are coming from. The sooner a tank column can know where anti-tank missiles are coming from, the faster they can call air support to counterattack and destroy the enemy. Applications of new acoustic infrared merge sensing are also being looked at in the context of AI and machine learning. If new information arrives and advanced algorithms are able to recognize the origin, perform real-time analytics, bounce the new information off an existing database, it might be able to solve problems, perform analyses, and run instant calculations. Given the vast database, in a matter of seconds, it can perform processing functions, give human decision makers informed information about which kinds of counterattack methods were effective in the past, which might be optimal for this particular kind of attack. They can take otherwise separated variables, things like the climate, the weather, the atmospheric conditions, the terrain, the distance, the range, or other kinds of combat circumstances, take a host of variables and assess them in relation to one another to create a holistic picture, a series of interpretations, and the organization of information to then present to human decision makers, who could then, of course, immediately decide, do you call air support to destroy the incoming fire of an anti-tank missile? Do you use small arms fire or perhaps a missile to take out a small group of enemy fighters firing RPGs? Kris Osborn, Warrior Maven.